It's Viktor and Tsveti speaking, and we are here to discuss the full moon in Aquarius. If you would like to have a reading with us, then the link is going to be in the description box, so just feel free to click on that. Maybe it's time to have a yearly report, or if you have got any burning question, then we are here to actually help you out. But today's topic is this very Aquarian full moon, which is happening on 1 degree, and it's on Aquarius sign, Aquarian decan, Aquarian dwarfs, and on top of that, it's an out-of-bound moon as well. So full of Uranian flavor included in this full moon. So how do you feel about this?
Hi everyone. Hi Victor. This full moon is going to be tough, I think. I dread to say this, but yeah, that's how I see it. So many oppositions, and on top of it, we still have the Saturn-Uranus square going on, which is like the whole year theme. And yeah, with so many opposition, it will be like tension between different parties. And we already see in the world quite a lot of tension, quite a lot of riots with this Mars, which actually activated the Saturn-Uranus square. So I think this full moon will actually just be maybe the hottest point of all these events happening all over the world lately, also including the extreme weather conditions, because this moon is definitely all about extremes in a way, just like the Aquarian sign, and being out of bound, and being in an Aquarian dwarf, in an Aquarian decan, as you mentioned, like just going out of its conjunction with Pluto, meeting Saturn. It's really a tough one.
You know, and you mentioned all these riots and a little bit of a rebellious energy out there. Yes, probably it's down to the Aquarius full moon. But also recently, actually yesterday, Aries, the planet of feminism, went retrograde as well. And then we've got Chiron retrograde. So we've got so many retrograde motion at the moment. And I feel like, you know, even though retrograde is something where we are meant to be calming down, but all these energies actually can become a boil point. So it can actually explode. And with that Aquarius out of bound moon, that could really explode this time around. So I am absolutely not shocked about all these riots. I think I recorded my Aquarius full moon video a couple of weeks ago, and then I've already said that there is going to be something coming up, riots and all these type of things. So absolutely, I'm not shocked it's happening right now. By the way, if you are unaware, the Aquarius full moon is going to be happening on 23rd of July, 10:30 p.m. in America. And by Greenwich time, it's going to be on the 24th, 3:26 a.m. And actually, I did erect a chart for the Greenwich time because that's something to do with the world axis. And it has got a Cancer rising sign, so which is actually the people. And the people are out of bound in this chart. So this is very much talking about basically that the blood is boiling in people. And the full moon actually in that chart is falling into the 8th house, which is all about resources and banking and crimes. And I just heard recently actually that in South Africa, there are riots going on and they're burning shops and stuff like that. Of course, it's not going to affect everyone. But, you know, it's worth having a look at, for instance, those countries who have got Cancer rising sign. Actually, it could be affecting them significantly. Or those countries who have got Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or even the fixed signs. So Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Those countries will be affected the most. And this new moon is, full moon is actually called as the buck moon because it coincides with the new antler growth on the young deers. And also it's called as the thunder moon because this is the period of time when there is a little bit of a summertime storms coming. So yeah, there is a huge tension in the sky at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree. And just to mention that a full moon actually is an opposition between the sun and the moon. So it actually shines wherever the Aquarian sign falls into your chart. You can see like some insight, or it will shine a light in this area of your life, because this is the moment when the moon becomes ripe and it's visible actually. And because it's an opposition between the moon and the sun is also very strong, it's in rulership, it's in Leo, so we can expect this seesaw energy, like issues around power a little bit as well, because as we mentioned, the moon is really strong, it's very, very, very much Aquarian, it rules the people, and the sun rules authorities as well, so it can be also like indicating once again these energies which are going on right now in the world, I mean. And yeah, so yeah,
And
and
very,
generally, go
yes,
ahead.
no, just wanted to mention that this new moon is also triggering the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction,
Yes.
which was taking place at the end of December, right? So on a personal level, this is definitely about illuminating full moon, something which you did back in December, or you have been doing since then. And maybe this is the culmination point of that. So Aquarius is associated with the 11th house. So what are your long-term goals? What do you want? What is your calling? What area of life do you want to start fresh? Because you might have seeded something in December, and then now it's kind of like time to form or crystallize those type of things.
Yeah, and also it is definitely because it happens at the degree of the conjunction, almost at the degree of the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, but also because the moon is separating from Pluto and actually applying to Saturn, it like transfers light from these two planets, and this full moon is actually a huge checkpoint to see what's the result of Saturn-Pluto conjunction, what's going on with the Saturn-Jupiter new cycle, and it's really huge. And yeah, it's not a surprise that all the boiling points are happening right now, indeed, because this will really shine a light and maybe bring some insights and make things much more visible, absolutely obvious to everyone. Moon rules the people, so people will become absolutely illuminated, enlightened. They will be able to see what's the real situation, because the Aquarian sign is very objective and it's all about the facts. So people are already able to see the facts, how things are actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's like Aquarian energy is very electrifying. So it's like the body is getting electrocuted basically. So something which comes with shock, it's like a thunderstorm. A lightning bolt kind of just strikes a tree and then it falls apart basically. So it's kind of like a sudden awakening for people, a sudden realization of something. But you know, I also would like to mention that going back to the last full moon we had last year in Aquarius, actually that coincided with a massive explosion in Beirut. So, you know, we do need to look at what was going on in the past. I'm not going to suggest that there is going to be an explosion again, but something similar could easily happen, figuratively or literally speaking, but this full moon is full of explosion, basically.
Yeah, and yeah, because we also mentioned the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, one of the possible manifestations, it was already discussed widely, but just as a reminder, it can be because it can be some kind of control or digital control, because it's also in Aquarius, so it can manifest in kind of extremes to the humankind, because Aquarius rules the humankind and how the people accept this. But also on a more positive side, it can also have an effect on how we connect to each other, how we gather, how we are as a community, and it, as you mentioned, because it's really electrifying, really, really. So it can really raise the frequency a lot of the whole community of the human beings, you know, of the whole humanity indeed. So it can be like a shot, like an electric shock to just rise up. And yeah, it on a personal level, it will be up to everyone personally how we are going to use this kind of energy, because yeah, sometimes we need to really get a shock in order to open up our eyes, to be able to listen and to really go for the change, and just to see that there is no going back anymore.
Absolutely. And on top of that, this full moon is ruled by Saturn, which is also in Aquarius. Now, Saturn is walking towards the moon. And of course, the moon is rushing into Saturn as well. So Saturn is the blockages, the burden, and then we've got the moon, which is all about the people. So it's like the people are running into some type of authority figures and then trying to knock down the blockages ahead of them, type of energy. So it could be just, you know, on a world scale, there could be a building just collapsing, for instance, or actually Saturn is the construction work, or even businesses as well. I know Mercury is more about the businesses, but the business structure itself is Saturn. So we can expect something around those departments as well. And Aquarius is all about freedom and innovation and society, and people become rebellious and they go on a strike. But it is also, from a traditional perspective, this is the 11th house, right? So it talks about the long-term goals and the hopes and the wishes, something which we have been dreaming about. Basically, Aquarius is all about spotting trends. So people are going to start spotting some type of trends, basically what is happening in the world.
Yeah, and just because it's an opposition, you know, the full moon, and there are many oppositions here. Also, we have Venus, Jupiter, Pluto, Mercury, so quite a lot of oppositions with this full moon going along. So for the opposition, when it happens as an aspect, it's usually related with some kind of a mixed energy, mixed messages that are being sent, and we are like maybe more prone to go to extremes, to just, you know, like the seesaw, just going up and then down and then up again. So trying to find our balance, and it's again like highlighting this energy of being a little bit confused maybe, and not knowing which way to go, like having a choice and really having to make this choice rationally, just like the moon in Aquarius would suggest, and this Aquarian energy. And it's like it sounds like a huge revolution to me, indeed, really. This is the word that comes to my mind when I look at the chart, and with this so much Aquarian energy going on, really. But there will be, because the sun is also very strong in Leo, there will be really this opposition which will make us confused a little bit here and there, and maybe not so little, indeed.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bushes. Restrictions and COVID is around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Governmental restrictions. So we people need to get ready for it. Probably it's asking us to kind of reassess our obligations and responsibilities in our personal life, as well as in a community. Because at the end of the day, this full moon is ruled by Saturn and Uranus, which we know we had, the square is still going on, by the way. So it's very much about consolidation, being weighed down, too much responsibility. And the full moon is a challenge because the needs are not met. The two planets are very far away from each other. So we might feel that I can't take it anymore, and then I need to run away from this, right? And it's like, I give you an example. Let's suppose that you are at work and then you feel being used, and one day you're just gonna explode and say, you know what, I'm leaving my job, I have enough. So it is very much about what type of what are your limits. Can you actually set some rules in your life? you might be starting to question what your role is in the society, or what your role is according to your Aquarius house cusp. Maybe it's in the 10th, so work. Maybe it's in the 7th, a relationship. And this full moon is actually all about relationship as well, because the closest aspect to moon is actually Venus in conjunction, which is 150-degree, and it's a very challenging aspect, probably one of the most challenging ones, because there is nothing in common between two signs. So Virgo and Aquarius. One is earth, the other one is air, not compatible. One is mutable, the other one is fixed, not compatible. One is feminine, the other one is a masculine energy. So there is nothing in common between those two. And when an inconjunction happens, it really takes us to try to redirect the energies as much as possible, because it never plays out good, let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like we will, because if we think about Moon and Venus, it's like we're going to be a bit like forced, without seeing the reasons why, to make a choice between what we need to feel secure, the Moon, and what we really want to do. So exactly. It's gonna be a tough choice.
Security, and we've got the planet of social interaction, which are kind of somehow clashing, right?
So so I was just looking at Venus Jupiter opposition, which will give us even a higher pitch to overindulge and to really pick what we want and not care about the consequences and just do it. And it reminds me of a little bit of this story of the Midas touch, the myth, how you can touch everything and it becomes gold, but actually in the end, it's not the best thing to have only gold and no people and no friends and nothing, So we need to be really careful what we choose, and to somehow find a balance, try to find a balance as much as possible between really choosing security, being conscious, being awakened to what's coming, really, and at the same time trying to keep a part of our wishes complete, so to say, to find some creative ways if possible as well, because Venus Jupiter also can give creativity in this direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aquarius for me is like a mass communication, because that's the higher octave of Gemini. So Gemini is the logical way of thinking. Aquarius is also very logical, but it downloads information from above, or also it downloads information from the internet, right? And then also Aquarius is very much connected to our brain, at least the neurological network of the brain. So this show that people can actually feel burnt out or very stressed or just very nervous. And overall, Aquarius is very much about the change and the movement and the futuristic approach to life. So I kind of feel like people are losing patience, or people are, just getting tired, basically. And it is going to be a boil point. And you wanted to talk about very briefly that we're going to have one more full moon in Aquarius.
Yes. This will be on the 22nd of August, and it will be on the very last degree, on the 29th degree, which we know is the critical degree. So, but still, it will be better aspected. So hopefully things will manifest, and we will come to see what was the point and what was the meaning of what's happening right now. It will give some enlightenment, I think, in a more subtle way. If we can say so, for 29 degree, because it's really a very tough, it's like swim a little bit, the energy of like swimming against the tide. It's very tough again, but I wanted to mention actually that in a few days we will have Mars Jupiter opposition at the same 29 degrees of Leo and Aquarius. Jupiter will transit, and then Mars will be just about to transit, so they meet. And this next full moon in Aquarius will actually highlight this again. one more time. So it's very important to watch what's going on in the next couple of weeks, so we have an idea, because it's going to develop longer this time. It's not going to be over now, it's going to develop longer. And actually this moon cycle, it started somewhere in January 2020 with the new moon. Sort of we're going to have a kind of a completion, and finally maybe be able to see objectively what's been happening and going on since the beginning of COVID indeed. So I hope really there is some solution into this direction, or at least we get more enlightened and awakened of what's the truth, of the objective truth.
Maybe one more interesting thing about this full moon, so this full moon is very much linked to the Venus opposite Jupiter. So with Venus, there is that in conjunction going on, plus the opposition to Jupiter. And actually this creates a configuration called the irritation rectangle. So as the name actually suggests, it is very irritating.
Mm-hmm.
And Venus is very much about the relationship, what we've got. Of course, Jupiter could be actually talking about indulgence, but the opposition is kind of like trying to suggest that it's something we should say no to, because it can really exaggerate the differences between two people. And the best we can do is rest and relaxation. But of course, with all these very high energies, it's kind of very hard. So don't be shocked if you are not able to sleep, for instance, or your sleep patterns a little bit gets confused.
Yeah.
And also, this full moon happens exactly on a very prominent fixed star called Altair, which is the fixed star of ambition and confidence. So it's kind of like the unstoppable moon, really, because I feel like full of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, let's see, so to say.
Do you have anything else to add?
I just wanted to add something which struck my attention, and it's like about the Saturn-Uranus square, that we actually have Neptune in the midpoint. And I really, well, as long as my calculation abilities are good enough, but it's the midpoint between these two. So again, we need to, this is, you know, our not only but main source of hope, the divine, to trust into the universal truth, and to somehow trust into the fact that the universe has our back, because that's what Neptune is about, and it's in Pisces, very strong. So the Piscean energy is all about our connection to the invisible, to the divine. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention. It will be like a way to ease out a little bit, showing empathy, being understanding, kind to each other, hopefully, and not only to us as people, but also to the planet Earth as well, because it's the midpoint to Uranus in Taurus and to Saturn in Aquarius. So the link between the masses, the people, the community, the humanity, and the planet Earth, which is Taurus, would be Neptune, which is the divine.
Now, let me just explain a little bit on that midpoint structure. Actually, I'm going to be holding a webinar on that this weekend. So I'm really into now midpoint, because I was doing plenty of preparation for the class. So the midpoint is the way the planets want to be playing their roles. But actually the third planet, which is the midway between those two planets, is the way we actually going to be reacting to things. So Neptune there is something which is confused, blurred picture, pandemics, something to do with the dreams and so forth. So, you know, it's like a little bit of a cold shower there. So again, Yeah.
Not so much supporting again, right?
Yeah, not so much of a support, let's put it that way.
Okay.
So, but there is one good aspect to this full moon, and that's from Vesta, a trine from Vesta. Vesta just entered the sign of Libra a couple of days ago. I also made a video on that on my YouTube channel if someone doesn't know what Vesta is. But Vesta is a focal point. So it's very much about what can help this full moon if we commit ourselves to accomplish any personal projects, or you aim something which you have got your sight on for a very long time. Vesta in Libra is, again, focusing on relationships. So looking at our loved ones, looking at our neighbors, looking at, you know, all those type of people. And Vesta is basically a spiritual planet, which is very much talking about keeping the flame within. However, Vesta has got Saturnian qualities, because Vesta's movement very much coincides with the Saturnian movement. So the Saturn return and the Vesta return actually happens at the same time, which, and no wonder, because Vesta promised not to be, Vesta promised to be a virgin till the age of, for 30 years, basically. And of course, the Saturn returns happens around age 30 as well. So the relationship between two people, or the relationship between the world and, you know, another world, or between countries, are very, very emphasized here. And Vesta says, try to fix it, try to focus on the positives and try to focus on the peace.
Yeah, actually Vesta has a lot of Saturnian qualities, as you mentioned, because it's actually the female daughter, the female child, the daughter, which stayed the longest into Kronos' stomach, because he swallowed all his kids. So actually Vesta was able to assume most of his qualities during her stay in there. So yeah, no wonder. So like, if I connect the idea that the full moon is in conjunction with the fixed star that you mentioned, with Altair, which rules ambition, and then it will also be in a trine to Vesta, then it's a great moment to be, you know, to put up our efforts into something we are ambitious for. And maybe,
yeah, and also because it triggers the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which is very much about the business hours.
Yeah,
I feel like the business hours will be changing in many countries. So opening times may be shorter, probably shorter than longer, unfortunately. Or do we shut the doors? Do we open the doors? What we're gonna do? Of course, Aquarius very much talks about, as I mentioned, not spotting patterns, but analyzing trends. So, so Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, stock market related matters, especially with out-of-bound moon, it's proven. Whenever planets go inbound, there is always a shift going on in the prices of crypto and stuff like that. So whoever is investing, I know I always mention the investments because I care about that. Watch out, because there is going to be a little bit of a dip. It doesn't mean, but that's an opportunity to buy anyway. So sometimes it's very good, sometimes, and obviously it's not a long-term period. So going inbound and then it kind of stabilizes. So, you know, it's just a few days, 3 to 5 days period when we're going to have some dips there, and then it goes back to normal. So it's not like the Saturn Uranus square, which will bang the doors of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and stock market the entire year, basically. Great. Well, this was our intake on full moon in Aquarius, and you will hear about this again at the end of August, because we're going to have one more coming up.
Yeah.
So
thank you, everyone. Yeah, and thank you, Viktor. It was a great discussion, I think, and I hope everyone is able to get some insight and to get into the energies of this full moon and to use it for their best.
Yeah, just look at the Aquarian house cusp in your chart and basically put the message, what we told you, into that house cusp.
Yeah.
So have a lovely day, everyone. See you shortly with another video.
Bye.